Well, joining us now is Patricia Kurgen. Now, Patricia, Pat Kurgen, is the CEO and founder of Astro Logistics, Inc., an Englewood, Colorado business consulting and transportation logistics firm. And Patricia helps clients identify the goals they want to achieve and then design and implement the means to achieve it. The end results are greater value for the company, their clients, and the larger community around them. Patricia grew up in a family-owned transportation and warehouse company, and she has many years of experience in sales, like me, operations, like Saxman, accounting, like my wife. So, like, we're all covered. And with both tax-exempt and non-tax exempt companies, and she's got a BA. She went to Duke, and she's got an MBA from the University of Colorado in Denver. So we expect that she's a Rockies fan. And by the way, Pat, they have no pitching this season, and they're going nowhere fast. Pat Kurgen, welcome to the John Fredericks Radio Network.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Great to have you with us. Let's start with the Rockies. They have absolutely zero starting pitching this season. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs again. So I'll start with
I'm from Chicago, so I'm a big Chicago fan. Ernie Banks was my, hero when I was growing up. So I can't say much about the Rockies. Sorry.
Let's play three, Ernie would say. It's a beautiful day.
Let's play two.
No, we say let's play three.
He say let's play two.
Look it up. He said let's play three. Anyway, let's get back to Pat Kurgen. And Pat, I am right. Ernie would say it's a beautiful day. Let's play three.
Two.
That was his line.
Two.
You look it up. Pat, the Trump economy, it's been absolutely amazing for small businesses. The tax cut, a big part of that. Pat, how has that affected your company? What have you been able to do?
Well, I actually don't have too many employees, but I work with a lot of companies that do. And, it's the Trump economy is doing great for small businesses, and they're growing. The problem that a lot of people have is finding good, educated, inspired employees. So part of what I do is I go in with a group of people and we do trainings to help explain that to the employees that if you bring value to yourself, then you are also bringing value to the business and that you can grow. And it's a win-win situation for the employer, the employees, and even within the community because, again, you're dealing with a lot of small businesses, and your reputation is at hand. So if you do a good job, word gets out, hey, you need your car repaired, then you need to go to Joe's Fix It. He's really good. He's got great employees. So right now here in Colorado, we have about a 3.2% unemployment rate. So it's hard to find those really good employees. But the jobs are there, and if people are willing to be trained, the opportunity for employees is great. And like what you were saying earlier, the main engine right now for the economy is the small business. I remember Ronald Reagan; he used to talk about Main Street. Main Street is the backbone of America. If it wasn't for Main Street USA, we wouldn't be where we are today. So the small business environment is growing and expanding. We're very optimistic and positive with what is going on, and we want to continue to grow. And then going back to one of your other comments, though, is we want government out of our way. We can do it ourselves. We don't need the government interference. We don't need them come into our businesses and tell us what kind of relationship we need to have with our employees. Minimum wage, that's a voluntary exchange of talent between the employee and the employer. We don't need the government saying, oh, you have to give them $15 an hour. No, let that person bring value to the business, and if they're worth more than $15 an hour, they should get it. If you're going to be training them, then you really can't bring them in at $15 an hour. It might be $12. But let the employer and the employee figure that out. They have the relationship. They're there every day working together, and they know best what they can do. And the government's just making the situation worse.
Well, Patty, worse, especially in the climate that we're in. You're right. Especially in the climate that we're in right now. And we're with Patty Kurgen. She is the CEO of Astro Logistics in Colorado, outside the Denver area. Patty, this is why what you're saying is so accurate. I understand that government sometimes needs to get involved, insert themselves between employer and employee if the economy is not doing well and if there's higher unemployment. Because then what happens is it becomes an employer's market, wages go down, more people are competing for less jobs. Then there might be an argument for the government to step in and be the go-between in some of the negotiations and mandate. I don't think it's a good idea, but there's a plausible line you can draw. Now, in Colorado, where you've got virtually zero unemployment, and whenever you get, if anybody studied economics, once you get about 3% unemployment, you're basically at full employment because there is always 3% of people who are churning through the market, quitting jobs and looking for something else. They're transitional. So you get to about 3%, you're just about at full employment. So now you're in Colorado, you've got a full employment situation, and you got the legislature in Colorado, wanting to pass all these bills to handcuff the economy and further hamstring the businesses that have driven the economic growth that has brought them to full employment. For instance, you talk about the family leave bill. I mean, if I hire a new employee, they're going to negotiate their family leave, their sick days, their vacation. If what I offer them, they don't offer them 2 weeks, they can say I want 3, and maybe we compromise on that. But that's between employee and employee. If I want that person, I'm going to be able to work it out. But now you've got your state representatives, because you have full employment, now trying to dictate the terms. How does that make sense?
It doesn't. And actually, last night they pulled the Family Leave Act off the table, and they're going to now do a study because the cost of it was just astronomical. It was anywhere from $1 to $2 billion, and it wasn't sustainable as to how they were going to do it. And here in Colorado, we have what's called the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. So you can't initiate a new tax or raise a tax without the consent of the people. It has to go on the ballot, and the people get to vote yes or no. So what the legislators did here in Colorado is they made it a premium. They called it a premium instead of a tax. And that additional premium, to me, it's a tax, on the employers was high. And especially with small business owners, your profit margin is very slim to begin with. And by putting these premiums in, or they have fees now to get around Tabor, it just keeps taking away from that small margin that they're dealing with to begin with. So if that would have gone through, I already had spoken to some people who said we would have to close our doors. We can't afford this. And so I'm glad to see that they have taken it off the table. It doesn't mean that it's gone, because they will be doing a study. But it makes no sense. They have a pay equity bill that's now going through, and the fact of the matter is, and again, going back to what we've been talking about, we're essentially at zero unemployment here in Colorado.
Right.
If you think you're not being paid properly, then go to your employer yourself. Negotiate with your employer. Don't go to the government saying, hey, I need your help to negotiate that I think I need to be paid more. Employers now will pay more because, again, it's supply and demand. So the supply is limited, and you want the best worker, you're going to pay what you truly believe is a good rate. And the fact of the matter is, when you do hire somebody, you're looking at their education, their previous experience. And even with pay equity, they're not looking at the full compensation package. So I know that a lot of people want that health benefit, so they might take a little bit less in their wage if they can have a full-blown health package. It's very important to look at all the variables. You just can't center in on one thing. And I think that that's something that the government doesn't do. They just take this one number and they put it out there, like with pay equity. And here in Colorado now, they're saying there's an 86% difference, the woman makes 86% of what a man works. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is, even in, I believe it was in 2009, the White House put out a women's study, and they even said that women, on average, work 5 hours less per week than a man does. and this is like if both of them are working 40 hours a week, because men will work more. If you're on a flat salary, men tended to work more hours than over the 40, and sometimes women maybe would be a little bit less. So, just looking at that one variable, it has a lot to do with the differential as to what people are paid. But you have to look at the full picture. So
we're with Patty Kurgen, president of Astro Logistics outside of Denver, Colorado, and we're with the job. As I am with the Job Creators Network. And for more information on Trump's tax cuts, go to taxcutswork.com and file the petition there telling Nancy Pelosi you don't want her to mess with your tax cut. Many people getting big tax cuts, especially small businesses, also could go to jobcreatorsnetwork.com. Patty, I want to talk about another thing that's going on in Colorado in your state legislature. You think they have better things to do than screw with the relationship between employer and employee, throwing up roadblocks and barriers. What is this rainy day fund? What is that?
They set aside money, and they submitted the budget, and they here in Colorado we can't have debt.
Right.
So in the past, if they didn't use up all the money, you would put it in a rainy day fund so that if you need funds later on, then you can go into that particular area to grab some money. So I know that we have a lot of new programs like all-day kindergarten coming into Colorado. Some people question, will we really have all the funds to fund that particular program? If not, then maybe we can go over here and grab some of the money. So
from the rainy day, right? So they want to. I mean, the purpose of the rainy day fund.
Because when we had the Great Recession, and obviously it was bad times for everybody, there was that additional money to go in and use for good programs. So it can be a good thing. It all depends upon what they actually use the funds for.
Right, and when you get to the equal pay thing, and I've been saying this for a long time, I don't like that as a government mandate, because now the problem is, if I've got, as a small business owner, if I've got a female employee and a male employee, and they have essentially the same type job, and their salaries are, say, the same, and I give a performance review at the end of the year, and I give the male a 5 and the female a 3 based on documented evidence, and that means the male gets a 5% increase and the female gets a 3% increase. Now I'm in violation of law. And so that's the kind of nonsense that I just don't think the government should be involved in it. Because right now, the President Trump and his economic policies have unleashed this tremendous economic prosperity and resurgence of jobs and wages and growth and investment. And why would you now get states injecting themselves in that to screw it up? It's just like, get out of the way, go fix my potholes, fix my roads, rebuild my bridge, do whatever you have to do with schools, get better schools, put the money in that, and my employee will work it out, because now they have jobs and wages are going up. Patty, I'm out of time. I really want to thank you for being with us today. Great job joining us from Denver area, Colorado. And we've been with Patty Kurgen, and she is CEO and president of Astro Logistics. Thanks for being with us, Patty.